everyone, and welcome back to the Joy-Filled Universe podcast. I am your host, Lisa Ryan, and this week we are going to talk about a little gremlin that has been sneaking into my world. And although I love it dearly because it helps me out every single day, I have to admit that it is time for me to establish some healthy boundaries with my very much appreciated phone. Yes, my iPhone. I truly love this little device. It is my constant companion. Yet the other night I got home from work and I changed into my workout clothes because it was time to get on some exercise. And then my dad called, which was awesome. So I took some time. We were catching up, talking about life. Just one of those like really feel good, fill my heart tank kind of conversation. And when we hung up, I had every intention of going outside for some exercise. That was the plan. Workout clothes were on. Window of opportunity was planned. It was right there. And so was the motivation. But instead, I looked at my phone, and not in the like cue up the playlist, we're going out for a run kind of look. It was more like the let's flop down on the couch and see what's happening kind of look. I told myself that I was just going to check a few apps, which turned into I'm just going to scroll for a minute, and then I'm just going to watch one video, followed by I'm just going to reply to a few messages that I received. And then an hour and a half later, a friend of mine rang my phone. So it was kind of like snap me out of everything. And it was in that moment that I realized I had completely missed my window of opportunity to work out. It was gone, 90 minutes, and I had nothing to show for it. So I was very frustrated with myself, not because phones are bad, but because I had unconsciously handed over an hour and a half of my life with zero return on investment. So I hung up from my friend and I got like into full-on discovery mode. I decided to do something that I had not done in a really long time. I went into my phone settings and I searched for screen time. And if you've never done this, go into your settings and type in screen time in the search bar. And I have an iPhone, and I'm pretty sure this is probably going to be the same with Androids too. Either way, search for your screen time and get ready, because if you're anything like me, prepare to be shocked, because this setting shows you exactly how much time you've spent on your phone. And mine showed that I had spent 36 hours in the last week on my phone. 36 hours. That's almost 5 hours a day. 5 hours a day on my phone. That's like 5 hours that I could have been reading, working out, working on my Joy-Filled Universe goals for 2026, resting intentionally, doing some laundry, making a delicious dinner, doing my meal preps for the week, decluttering a closet, getting the car washed and fueled for the week. Name it. So many things that I could have done with this time. And oh my God, it is actually dawning on me too that 36 hours is a full day and a half gone. And okay, a little bit speechless, but I do want to be very clear here, right? I love my telephone. I love it. Phones are incredible tools, and I am so grateful for my phone, along with all of the ways that it helps me, right? Whether it's serving as a GPS, because I am always directionally challenged. So this phone gets me everywhere. I use it for banking, texting, taking photos, business enhancement, and creating content, connecting with my friends and family, learning, podcast, Audible books, music, funny content, right? It is, oh my gosh, super funny reels that are out there. And I have some great laughs all the time over so many of these. And I love sharing them too with friends and family. Also, they're great for helping to make some money. And they're just overall efficient. In fact, my podcast is largely successful because of phones. So I'm grateful for my phone, and I'm sure all of you could list numerous things that make our phones so incredible. So Today's episode certainly has nothing to do with saying that technology is bad and everything to do with just raising our awareness around how we choose to consciously spend our time. It's all about understanding the very fine line between using our phones as a tool that enhances our lives and becoming unconsciously used by our phones. And so there are boundaries here that I personally want to put in place when it comes to my phone, because as incredible as it is, if I'm not aware, it can rob me of my energy and my most valuable resource, which happens to be my time, right? Time. It is our most precious resource. And it is also a straight up mystery just how much of it that we truly have in this human experience. So when I think about that, I know that I really want to be intentional with my time. And that means when watching reels that can trigger me and make me feel sad, and also the ones that just like keep me hanging on because of what they're gonna say at the end. So I hang on and it gets to the end and they honestly never really got to the point. Yeah, it's those kind of moments that are stealing my time. And one other thing that I need to be consciously aware of is the fact that my phone blocks my flow. Like when I wanted to go work out, my phone blocked me. Or when I'm on the phone with a friend and a notification comes in, my phone distracts me because I want to look at it. Or when I'm out to lunch with a friend or out to dinner with my boyfriend or my family and I leave the phone on the table and then I like see a notification pop up and I reach for it just to see what it is. It's those types of distractions that are just like these speed bumps in my conscious, abundant flow process. And what is so curious about that is that it takes an average of 23 minutes to fully refocus after a distraction, not seconds, minutes. So when we check our phones just for a second, and we do that like 8, 9, 10 times in a day, we are fracturing hours of deep focus. And deep focus is where creativity lives, and it's where connection lives. Deep focus is where meaningful work gets done. And I honestly believe that the key to addressing this desire that I have to change my behavior with my phone has everything to do with pure awareness. And if you're wondering, I'm just going to say, yes, scrolling can become what psychologists call a behavioral addiction. Nothing like a substance kind of like addiction. No, it's very separate and apart from that. However, it can become a behavioral addiction, which is very similar to like what one would feel when it comes to something like gambling. And here's why. Social media platforms are designed around variable reward reinforcement, which is us in a state when we don't know what's coming next, right? Maybe it's going to be boring. Maybe it's going to be brilliant. Maybe it's funny. Maybe it's sad. Maybe someone liked our post or maybe someone commented. That's all unpredictability, and it spikes dopamine. And dopamine isn't just about pleasure. It's about anticipation. It keeps us seeking and refreshing and checking. And over time, our brains learn stuff like, when I have a free minute, I'm going to scroll. And the more we do this, the stronger that behavior becomes. And now, one of the most transformative years of my life was in 2021 when I lived in Texas and I didn't know a soul, and we were in the thick of the COVID pandemic. And during this time, everything was quiet. And I was in front of a screen for work for like 9 to 10 hours a day. And when I was done, the last thing I wanted was more screen time. So I picked up books. I read nearly 100 books that year. I journaled, I exercised, I daydreamed, I visualized, and my creativity, expanded. This level of self-improvement for me, it led to coaching certifications. Certifications then led to this podcast, and this podcast, it just keeps growing. And I know that my Joy-Filled Universe expansion, it's going to continue. And none of that happened because I was consuming short form content. It happened because I gave my brain creative space. When we allow for like boredom to come in, that's not a bad thing, because when there's boredom, it is like a signal to the brain to activate what's called the default mode network. And that system is responsible for imagination and insight, visioning our future selves, and creativity. And if we choose to eliminate boredom by like scrolling on our phones, well, over time, our brains start to prefer short bursts of stimulation over long form depth, which means activities like reading a book will feel harder. Watching a documentary, it feels slow. Working on projects can feel unfulfilling, and sitting peacefully in our thoughts can feel uncomfortable. And even conversations with people that we care about can feel understimulating. So in essence, we are conditioning ourselves for short hits instead of long game fulfillment. And it doesn't end here. As humans, we are very social creatures. Whether you're an introvert or an extrovert, we are all very social creatures. And have you noticed what conversations at restaurants look like nowadays? In many instances, people are on their phones and barely talking with each other. So sure, we are physically present, but mentally, we are somewhere else. Or how about at work when we're in a meeting and people are glancing down at their screens while we're speaking to them? And in both of these situations, eye contact is missed, silence exists, and imagination and ingenuity, they start to fade. And most people don't even mean to drop a conversation to check their phones, or even miss starting a conversation because they're on their phones. However, the messages that are typically relayed to the people that we are with when these behaviors exist is there must be something on that phone that is far more interesting than our time together. And when I'm actually on the receiving end of that message, I start to think, what the heck am I doing here? And what the heck am I wasting my time on? And it is in these situations that phones aren't just stealing our focus, they're diluting our presence. And presence is a foundational element for connection. And humans are biologically and evolutionarily designed for deep, meaningful connection with each other. Social bonds aren't optional luxuries. They are core to how we are hardwired. And I know that I said earlier that time is our most valuable resource, and another resource that we have to cultivate each day of our lives is our energy. Every time we switch tasks, like when we're focusing on a project, we get a notification, we check it out, we scroll a bit, then we get back to our project. Our brain releases stress hormones, and then we wonder why we feel mentally exhausted. And it's not because we're incapable, it's because our attention is fragmented. And so all of what I just highlighted here, right? Scrolling for minutes or hours routinely, chasing notifications, randomly picking up our phones because we had a notification chime go off, or leaving our phones like face up on the table when we're out to dinner just in case a notification comes in. None of this is something that we should feel bad about. Rather, let's just ask ourselves the questions. Am I using my phone, or is my phone using me? Because if I take the time that I noted earlier, my 5 hours a day of scrolling or searching on applications, and I apply that over the course of a year, that equates to 75 full days. 75 days of my life that I will never get back. And I'm so not saying this to be dramatic. No, it's just honest math. It's just the facts. And I am just going to say it is time to reclaim some control. And so how do we do it? Well, here are some ways to be intentional so that our devices can serve us as being helpful and appreciated tools in our lives. Okay, so let's just raise our awareness by checking our screen time weekly. It is this simple metric that punched me in the face and woke me up, which is why I decided to do this podcast. So awareness changes our behavior. Next, I am going to be turning off non-essential notifications. Text messages are fine. Phone calls, great. Anything else is just a dopamine trigger for me. So I'll just let those little numbers accumulate in the top right corner of every application, but no banners or chimes for me. They're all going off. Also, I'm going to protect like the first hour and the last hour of my days. No scrolling before intention setting at the beginning of my day, and no scrolling after practicing gratitude at the end of my day. That one's very easy, and what a great way to start and end my day. And then I've also decided to create some phone-free zones. So when I'm out to eat, no phone. When I'm working on a project that requires my focus, no phone. When I'm on the phone, no jumping to alerts. And let's see, the only way that my phone is allowed when I'm working out is to provide me with some amazing music, and that's it. And then lastly, let's see, I think that I'm going to allow myself some uninterrupted focus time during intervals of my day, because this will help me to rebuild my attention muscle. I'll stop chasing like that fast dopamine hit, and I'll find joy in welcomed boredom that is rewarded with multiple forms of creativity. And as uncomfortable as all of this is probably going to feel at first, I know that I'm just recalibrating my brain back to what it once was, because I'm just working through a digital detox here, and I'm loving my life, and I'm going to love my life now, and I'm going to love my life later, and it's going to be filled with even more creativity, and I'm here for that. And so that's it. That's it for this week. Our phones are not the villain. It's one of the most powerful tools ever created in many of our lifetimes thus far. But just like everything else that we love and enjoy that might not always be super great for us, we need to use moderation and discipline with our phones. And that day on the couch for me, it wasn't just me being lazy. It was about an unconscious habit that I had formed. And if you can relate to this, just know that by raising our awareness and reclaiming our attention, we sharpen our focus, our discipline, emotional intelligence, creative thinking, depth of connection, patience, and presence. And being aware and present with a healthy helping of gratitude is everything. And that, my friends, is a wrap for this week. Our beloved phones and mobile devices, they help build businesses. They connect people globally. They allow for this podcast to reach all of you today. And there's just so many wonderful things about our incredible wireless devices. And all of these things should be filled with enriched content and information and fun and joy that serves our lives versus consuming our time and draining our energy. So I hope that you found today's podcast to be helpful, because my friend Naughty, who helps to produce this podcast every week, she said to me, I really like the pod this week, but it was a little bit hard for me to hear. However, remember, everything in moderation. So I hope that you all enjoyed this episode. And if you did, please rate, follow, leave a review, and share it with your friends and family. All of this is super appreciated and truly helps me out. So thank you so much for taking the time and for your support. And because I have zero quotes about technology, I'm going to say this. Technology was made to connect our world, yet let's not allow it to disconnect the humans that live within it. And on that note, I am your host, Lisa Ryan. This is the Joy-Filled Universe podcast, where we explore all the tools and tricks that are going to make your universe even more joyful than it already is. And I will see you next week. Bye.